Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting ready to move into the semi-finals here at WCS America. My name is Fear Dragon, and I'm joined by Nathanius here at the desk. You're back for another puck match.
Yeah. Well, that's what they told me. They're like, Nate, you could like talk about Terrans. I told them I don't want to cast a single Terran match this weekend. I just want to cast puck's games and Neeb's games. And unfortunately for me, Neeb got knocked out, so that's I'm just going to be casting this one, and when puck wins, you know, just the final, that'll be it. That's all I'm here for.
Oh, wow. Sorry, you're already doing the prediction of puck winning here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I can dig it. Now, it's kind of funny because if you take a look at the bracket, both of these players are just coming in off of this exact matchup. Of course, Silky defeated Neeb in a Zerg versus Protoss.
Pretty sick.
And puCK defeated Jon Snow in a Protoss versus Zerg, and now they're both going to be playing another Protoss versus Zerg. I think that Silky showed some really, really good play, and I actually feel like a lot of the stuff that Silky was doing, it looked like a lot of what Jon Snow was trying to do, but maybe just a little. I actually feel like it was a little bit better, a little bit more refined.
Yeah, I mean, really, the ZVPs today have all felt oddly similar. We've had everyone do this drop into big attack at the third or fourth every single match.
From the Zerg player, right?
Yep. And we also saw it yesterday, so that is trending right now. I'm wondering what puCK is going to bring to the table. Obviously, it'll be very different than what we saw Zeal do earlier. It's still kind of somewhat, in some ways, similar to what Neeb was breaking out.
You know, it's funny because you say it's going to be different, but I am sure that it's unlikely puCK would do something, but doing something like a 4 Archon double Warp Prism drop is actually a very puCK thing, I feel like, to do.
See, that wouldn't surprise me, but I feel like puCK has been taking these matches a bit more seriously. He's been playing very good, straight-up openings with his Stargates and whatnot. So, yeah, I expect him to come out on top of this, mostly because he is definitely the more experienced player this far. Silky's really good. I'm very impressed at his ability to beat Neeb and get here. All credit to him. You know, he's getting love from the Sidestorm Gaming guys. But I would be shocked if Silky made it to the finals of this WCS Challenger. It would be
a huge upset for him.
I got nothing against the guy. I'm just saying, if he wins, this is an upset, and rightfully so. It would be amazing. But
yeah, I don't think that anyone would disagree with you, but in some sense, I want to say the upset has already happened. Silky was
that's true.
Silky was not supposed to make it out of that first match. I talked to him afterwards. He just said, you know, my hands are still shaking. Right after he had won versus Neeb, I think even like 5 minutes after he'd won, his hands are still shaking with just the insane amount of excitement going through his body. But here we are. We're going to be spotting up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, top of the red Protoss player. It's Root Gaming's puCK.
And his opponent in the southwest position, our blue Zerg player, he is Silky.
I feel like, to your point a lot, Nate, Silky is the guy for a really long time. You just look at a bracket and you'd be like, oh yeah, Silky, he's like one of those pretty decent but not amazing NA Zergs. But I really feel like the past maybe 2.5 months, Silky has raised his skill level significantly. He's gotten a lot better, and I think a lot of it has to do with his kind of the way that he's thinking about practicing, the way that his mentality is actually shaped up in a lot of these tournaments. And I actually feel like a lot of people, I've heard multiple people now say that they feel like Silky is actually now playing a bit better than Jon Snow as a Zerg player.
Interesting. I mean, Silky's been around for a while. I think you think back to classic dynamic duos like Silky and Suppy in the TESPA, all that, and the collegiate StarCraft scene. So he's been around, he's been playing for a really long time. Of course, they had a really good run in the TESPA collegiate series for StarCraft 2 just a month or so ago. And Silky played a lot of great StarCraft games there. But he has not been the player that people have been like, all right, this guy's the up-and-comer for NA. The last time we talked about an up-and-coming NA Zerg, we were all hyped up about Panda Bear Me qualifying for Pyeongchang in Intel Extreme Masters. And that didn't really pan out quite the way that a lot of people were hoping for. So this is definitely a great first step. For me, Silky being here is like, it's really cool, and it's hopefully the start of many more high-up finishes, because he's a very good StarCraft player, and well, apparently he can beat Neeb in a best of 5.
Apparently he can beat Neeb in a best of 5, I think is the best way to put it. But puCK is a very different kind of player. Neeb, I think, he kind of gets set in his ways in a lot of times, and he tends to play a little bit greedy. I feel like puCK, he ends up playing a little bit flashy, and sometimes that kind of backfires on him, where he'll do something like he's being a little over-aggressive with the Archon drop, because he's like, no, I can micro this. But then he ends up losing the Warp Prism or loses an Archon. That's where I feel like puCK usually finds a bit of weaknesses, but when he's on point, he's on point.
Yeah, well, we'll see. He's opening with the Stargate again, which not surprising at all. We've talked the Stargate thing to death, but being able to deny map vision, scout, pick off a few drones, and also have the option to get that safety Roach Horn if you feel the need. All great things. But Adept taking some real damage. That'd been unfortunate there.
Yeah, taking a good bit of damage, so it makes it a little bit harder to try and move in later. Ooh, somehow a Ling actually makes its way in, and oh, the Adept is decided to turn on its country. Goes after the pylon, eventually decides, you know what, actually, I don't want to fight against the Protoss forces.
No, do not attack your own pylon. It's a bad idea.
All right, well, Robo coming down at the front. This is actually, it's kind of funny that he throws down the Robo as a part of the wall, and he did this in one of the other games versus Jon Snow, and didn't really ever end up coming back to bite him in the butt, so I'm not going to give it too much attention or anything, but it is a little bit
It allows you to rally your Immortals out of your base without having to move a Zealot or an Adept that's in the wall.
Yeah, that is really nice, and of course, if there were a big Ling Flood or something weird coming out, you just have the walling complete a little bit faster, and your Stargate's still safe back in your main base, so if there's a Mutos tech switch or something, it's not just one of the more vulnerable buildings out there.
Yep. So the Oracle is coming up around the front, goes straight into those queens, and actually kind of slows down, allowing it to take a lot of damage from those queens, not doing anything with its energy.
This has honestly been a pretty good start so far for Silky, because now this Oracle is going to have a really hard time. The drones aren't even on the north side of that Spore Crawler, so no damage being taken so far for Silky, and puCK has already kind of softened up 2 of his units so far.
Yeah, at least the Phoenix is doing its job, getting that Overlord picked off. But kind of awkward situation.
This is actually the first Overlord. He didn't even get the Overlord that was over by the main base.
Still one in his main base.
So that Overlord can move back in at any given moment and kind of get the full scout out and confirm. Templar Archives coming out, see that it's not going to be some sort of crazy all-in heading his way.
No, but you're actually spot on. This is a really nice start for Silky. He's kind of been able to do whatever he wants. Wasn't really pushed back in any serious way. The Oracle didn't do anything. Let's see what this Archon drop can do.
A Spine Crawler coming down in the main base. This is kind of interesting, as well as a Baneling Nest. So this is a big mix-up here for Silky. He's at 57 workers before he starts making a bunch of these Lings, so I think that this is still defensive, but this could lead into a very different playstyle than what he did versus Neeb.
Well, I mean, if he's able to get a decent counter going or something, I do find that it's very difficult and tricky when you see these Archons. When you're trying to counter them with the Lings, the Archons, of course, do insane damage to the Zerglings in this early phase of the game. And the Queens, they don't move too fast trying to hit that Prism, so as long as he doesn't lose it, this is one of the reasons why you see a lot of people use Roaches, because you can kill so many Zerglings, and that eats up a lot of your larva to get enough Zerglings to push back the Archon. But there you go, puCK trying to get some value out of that Oracle, and Stasis Traps. Ooh, only one drone. Good micro there. Good awareness by Silky.
That Oracle has enough energy for another Stasis Trap, though, and Silky not paying attention because he's busy microing with some of the other units over the main base.
I think he just grabbed a queen in the main, looked like.
Yeah, I think he got a queen. He got a queen, because there were 2 queens over there, right? Yep. Here's 1 queen down, and a handful more Lings. Overlord is also going down thanks to the Phoenix.
So now I'm starting to like it a little more for puCK, because Silky's still building a lot of Lings, and while it seems that he wants to go like Hydra, Ling, Bane, the Archon's thinning out that Ling count is really nice, because he should be able to just keep his pro production up on that third. This Stasis Ward is interesting. I guess he's trying to debate any units that are trying to go over and stop that hatchery, but he gets the cancel.
And he even has 4 Zealots over there to support this. The Zealots might get choiced down by some of the Lings, but no, the Archons are going to be moved to the main base.
That's what that spine is for, by the way.
That's actually really cute. I mean,
gets another queen kill.
Yeah. Okay, that's a pretty solid start so far.
But the micro that you can do versus Lings with Archons is pretty sick. Like, he's getting the upgrade for it, but you can kill so much. Like, the pressure that you can put on this base, I almost want to see him keep going for it, because the Hydras are just now coming out, but it's only 4. Not out yet. You got a moment or 2 there to poke that hatch, but it's all good.
This gets a little bit dicey, I feel like, for Silky, who's going so Ling heavy earlier on. He's going for the melee upgrades, and he's going to be up against a very fast Storm upgrade here from Silky. So We'll hold the phone. We do have a bunch of Lings getting surrounded on some of these Immortals and the High Templars, forcing an Archon to be made, but one of the other High Templars is going to go down. The Immortal does get saved. The Archon barely gets picked off before it finishes. So can I get picked up by that War Prism? And
those +1 melee Lings doing a great job grabbing those units that are out there isolated on their own. Also limiting that High Templar capabilities. Gotta get that Prism back over here. That Immortal gets picked off. Okay, well, Silky's actually grabbed himself a lot now. That's a really big win here.
This is actually such a good, I guess, start for Silky. Not only was there the really, really nice defense against the early harassment, eventually those Archons started doing a lot of damage versus the Lings.
That was pretty worrisome.
He never did drone damage, really. He got some of the Queens, and I think that's about as ideal as you can get for Silky with a Ling defense.
Yeah, that was, you know, the +2 about to finish for these Lings really makes them quite terrifying. As Silky's got that 4th base up and running now, he's got the saturation going on at 67 drones. He's not really mining too much off of it just yet. Maybe another rounder if he can hold this attack. But this is puCK going for a real big push. He's got the Templar.
Really late. Well, there's maybe a possibility for something to happen here, but it looks like puCK is not going to be able to get into a good position to push in immediately.
puCK still needs to be very careful, though, because those Lings, even if the Banelings are late, those Zerglings do a lot of damage with that +2 done now, and the Banelings as well. He's just going to go chase up. He wants to get those Banelings onto the High Templar, ideally in this scenario.
Ooh, nice bait out of one of those storms. He's actually, I think he's almost out of storms. He's got maybe 1 or 2 left.
Yeah, he's just got, yeah, he's got a few.
Okay, he's going to have to back up now. As he tries to grab this bottom right-hand base, I don't think that Silky knows about it yet.
I mean, you wouldn't expect that he would just maybe try to take it that fast because he's got the base outside of his main, but he has a Ling there, it looks like, so he knows that it hasn't been touched.
Okay.
Jockeying for position here is puCK, sends a few Zealots forward, tries not to send all of them at once.
Yeah, running into the Banelings is not always going to be ideal. A big Ling run by, moves its way over to the 3rd base. There's a High Templar there. It is getting healed up by the shield battery. The Storm goes down, though. Photon Cannon going to be holding the line for quite a bit, and we do have some Zealots on the left side getting picked off.
He was bringing that Prism Harass while he has his army still kind of pushing towards the southern end of the map, but look at that. 20 Banelings, 36 Lings in the production tab for Silky. He is just swarming out units, and puCK's got to be so cautious trying to attack that base. He's opening himself up to a few flank opportunities. There's such a wide angle for Silky to attack his forces.
Okay, we have the Banelings starting to roll forward. It actually baits out a couple more of those storms, and now the Banelings can come forward. There are still a few storms left over, though, and this fight is going a lot better for puCK. He's keeping those Immortals alive in the High Templar.
He managed to kill all the Banelings between the storms and the Archons actually soaking up a lot of the Banes. He's cleared them all out, so he can use his storms against just the Hydralisks now and allow those Zealots and Immortals to take care of the Zerglings. So this base should be as good as dead. Queen throws a transfuse, but it is for naught.
Yeah, it doesn't buy too much more time. More Banelings being made over here for Silky. puCK, it looks like he's still continuing to warp in. He wants to continue this aggression. Has to be a little bit wary about these Zealots versus the Banelings.
Oh! That's about as bad as it could have gone.
Yeah, all the Banelings are now gone, but I mean, so do go almost all the Zealots there for puCK. He's still warping in a few more. It's still not the end of the world there for puCK. He's done a lot of good damage so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's adding extra Archons too to this army composition, but we see the Spire finishing with the Hive, so Greater Spire immediately begins production as Silky wants to get them Broodlords.
Yeah, puCK has that 4th base now
and that
mining.
4th sense. Look at that, Fleet Bacon already on the way, Grizzling on that pan.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really nice for him to be able to get out of carriers, or if he really is in desperation mode, he can maybe make a Tempest or 2 to help deal with it immediately just because they build faster. But Zealot run by up here on the north side, going to be moving over to the 3rd. At the same time, the army pushes forward.
The storms are going to be ace here. That's what the most important thing is. You got a lot of morphing veins. Beautiful storm to cancel all of those out. And now this angle a little bit easier to work with. Both players are spread. He does have to keep in mind the creep. Those Banes will connect very quickly. It's all about, we got to protect those High Templar and the Zealots from the Banelings and then let them dive onto those Hydralisks.
Okay, Greater Spire getting close to finishing, so
he doesn't have the money. He doesn't have the money to go Broodlords just yet, so this is still a bit tricky.
He's got a lot of he's got a huge gas bank.
Yeah, a few Vipers would be nice in this situation. Try to pull up individual units in. I mean, feedback is definitely a threat, but Abduct has a longer range. puCK starts a mothership back home.
Wait, is puCK out of storms now? This is actually a little bit, this gets a little bit scary. I think the max energy any of his Templars have is 62 energy, so you have to be a little bit careful. There's a lot of Archons, sure, and the Zealots are going to also be able to buy some time, but...
2 Corruptors are on the way out now.
Okay.
That's not enough to be game-ending in numbers of Broodlords, but he's going to announce to puCK that he needs to get some further tech up. The Archons all up at the front. The Banes blow up in huge numbers, but a big Bane bust from the back smacks into a ton of them. That Prism had a few High Templar inside, but there's still no Storms. And puCK's army looks like it's going to finally be routed back, juggling the Immortals and the Archon.
Wow!
Oh, okay. Holy, saved 4 Immortals. Jeez.
That is a massive save. And now they're going to start rebuilding their shields. Their hardened shields is going to come off of cooldown soon, so they're going to have a little bit more survivability.
Okay, that was gnarly. I thought it was...
Silky just lost a majority of his army as well. He doesn't have that much to support the Broodlords anymore.
That was sick. Okay, well, those 2... Is he getting the 2 Broodlords?
Just 2 Broodlords, that's it.
2 Broodlords. He's building 2 more Corruptors, so we can get more. But puCK sniffed this out. 2 extra Stargates are being added. The Yo Mama ship is just about done, too. And the Zealots are here to try to help defend this center base that's being taken. Did Silky ever scout that southeast base?
No, he never actually saw it. No.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think he still believes this is a 3-base Protoss player, in which case he may not expect that the fleet beacon is already going to have been down and the double Stargates have been added on and carrier production can begin pretty shortly.
Yeah, carriers are going to be very hard to deal with. Silky does not have a crazy economy to work with here. I mean, gas-wise, you can use Infestors, you can use Vipers, but he needs to get another base or 2 to get that mineral income back up. puCK has been sitting pretty on an insane amount of resources. Especially with, what is that? That Immortal?
This Immortal's just like, I didn't see nothing.
I love that the Immortal has like that strafing tracking turret, and he's just like, nah, man, it's all good. Well, Baneling's a +2 attack. We all know how that goes. Oh, the Zealot! He's a hero.
Yeah. All right.
Swerves into the rescue.
All right, Broodlords have been revealed at this point, and there's going to be actually 2 carriers and a single Tempest being added on. Actually, like, just a single Tempest. Zealot run-bys are going to buy a little bit of time, as he also gets another Zealot run-by on the north side.
Time is the big component here. You know, the thing is, those Tempests are nice against specifically the Broodlords. Not necessarily amazing versus everything else, but they build, like, more than twice as fast as a carrier or something like that. They're very, very quick.
Zealots. +3 weapon Zealots are so good versus just Lings and a Spine Crawler.
Yeah. So being able to get out those carriers, I think this is where, like, I don't see how he's going to be able to handle this. And puCK, look at puCK, he's like, yeah, I'll drop a bunch of cannons, maybe get a shield battery or 2 in my expansions. Good luck breaking that.
I mean, we kind of saw a little bit of Silky trying to play versus the late game Protoss of Neeb. And quite frankly, it just didn't go very well. He tried to go for a lot of Infestors, and let me tell you, he's got a 4K gas bank to work with. The problem is, it didn't really work for him last time.
No, well, at some point you got to ask yourself, what are you doing that you have 4,000 gas and you're losing the game? You are behind. At least get pathogen glands so that you can have the option of getting some Infestors out. You know, we've seen Neural Parasite and Infested Terran Bombs kind of do work. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but it's something. Also, the lack of upgrades. There's no upgrades for these.
Yeah.
He's just now getting +1 attack and +1 air. We're the 16-minute mark. And nothing has any damage buffs against this Protoss air. We have that +3 attack, and now the Mothership and Carriers are going for +2.
You know, I really feel like this is a combination of 2 things. I think that this is Silky not knowing about that bottom right-hand base and thinking that he's in a better or more even economic situation than he is. And 2, I actually think that he's still like a little rattled from having beaten Neeb. I actually think that he's still feeling like a little too much adrenaline.
Man, he's got to get it together.
All right. Storms are going to zone out this army, and puCK just says, actually, I'm okay with this. And he's going to have to deal with some Banelings busting through the pylons, but they don't actually make it to the mineral line.
Didn't get to the economy, so doesn't matter. Got probes.
There's a lot more coming, but those are going to get picked off.
Probes. Well, he finds these Banelings.
These 2 Lings that were about to see the end of their life, and then they just get frozen in time.
So there we go. Neural Parasite starts up, so he's like realizing, I should probably make use of all of this gas that I have. I'm continuing to build Broodlords. He doesn't know that there's carriers, does he? He hasn't seen the carriers.
Has he actually started his Infestors? Because the Pathogen Gland's already finished.
I think he's just now starting some Infestors.
4? Just 4? Yeah, this is almost a little bit too late, though, right? Because they're not going to actually be out in time for this engagement. He's already using some of the Banelings on the Archon.
Okay, he definitely knows knows about the carriers.
He saw the carriers.
He's adding Broodlords at that point. Definitely not going to do as much. He needs more anti-air. His supply is so tied up in these Broodlords and these Zerglings. But you got a bunch of carriers pushing you. Oh my god, he also stacks up all of his Broodlords with the sickest size storm.
Oh, not like this, Silky, not like this.
Well, that's the definition of pain right there. It's just a screenshot of that. Yeah, Silky's super dead.
Yeah, this is going to be a really tough one to come back from. More storms, carpeting the Broodlords. Even the Infestors, he does get close enough.
Ain't what it used to be.
Yeah, if only. Maybe you start taking out some of those Infestors, but Lings get taken care of because there's just a swarm of photon cannons there. And puCK, he is just ready to take this game.
Silky just did not realize how much money puCK was making. And that bottom right base, puCK's like, all right, yep, I've got 1,000 carriers now, and I'm going to kill you. And that's what happened, by the way. Carriers killed absolutely everything. GG.
GG. puCK takes the first game in this best of 5 in the semifinals.
That was a funny map. That was a funny map because Silky was playing that game like they were in a normal PvZ. He's like, all right, you got 3 bases. All right, your 4th's a little late. My 4th was denied. It's not a huge deal. puCK's like, no, I've had my 4th for a while, actually. By the way, here's carriers. And
yeah, but also I want to say that Silky did a great job with the early game. Like, things were looking really nice for him, I would say, at the very beginning. puCK started turning it around after he got some of the Archon drop stuff, and he had a really good defense against some of the other like attacks and stuff. But I actually thought that Silky had a good start. It was about that 4th base that just completely threw him off.
Yeah. And that's enough, though. That's enough.
Oh, yeah.
Getting carriers is so difficult. He was able to have a maxed out Protoss army and be like, gonna throw away 20 Zealots, barely get anything for it, just so I can start building carriers now.
Do you feel like the melee upgrade play worked out very well in that game?
I loved it. In the start of the game, it was great. Silky got some great pickoffs. Seriously, think about that engagement at the bottom right. Now, this is dangerous because the Protoss army was there, but there's that moment where they're kind of postured outside the southeast base because he wants to attack the 3rd, and puCK's like, I'm defending the 3rd. I'm not going to go over to the corner of the map because why would I go there? I don't have a base there. If Silky goes there and he's like, okay, suddenly this is a whole different ballgame. Even if he doesn't kill it, he just sends 2 Lings around. He's like, I'll do a run by or a flank. He sees that base. He can focus some of his attacks there because he's doing all these attacks under this 5th base that's all protected because the whole entire army's there. puCK's just like, well, if I don't do anything from the southeast corner of the map, you're never going to think that I have a base there.
There you go. That's all you need. Well, ladies and gentlemen, game number 2, it looks like it's going to be on Acid Plant. And again, the winner is going to be moving on to the grand finals.
This is the drop map. Every Zerg's been dropping on this map. That's what we've been seeing.
Well, we've been seeing Silky specifically drop on every map.
Silky dropped on this map versus Neeb. Scarlet dropped on this map versus Zeal. And yeah, puCK got dropped on this map too, if I recall correctly.
Yep, Jon Snow went for the Silky style on this map.
Silky smooth.
Well, not looking so smooth right now. Looking a little rough in that late game, but
get some polish, get some shoe shine on it. Let's go.
Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have our red Protoss player from Root Gaming sitting up 1-0. It is puCK.
He faces off against the blue Zerg player in the southeast, representing Storm Gaming. He is Silky. Silky looking for a potential final finish against his teammate, True. 2 Storm Gaming players in the top 4.
Oh, I'm sure that would be the dream for Storm Gaming, who I know they were not super happy with the performance at Austin.
The NA players all disappointed at Austin. I mean, Special got reasonably deep, but even he is a player that you're in that position when Special always, yeah.
Storm?
No, well, I'm just talking about NA players.
Okay.
I was going back to American players. Yeah, I was going back to the NA players.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'm like, even he is like a player that you expect to make it to at least, the finals or the semis. If there's no Neeb, right? That's who he loses to usually. But yeah, Storm guys have been doing great. I'm sure they're all watching. They've been getting some good tweets going, showing them some love, putting that support into StarCraft. It's great to see these players, a guy like Silky, getting a bit of support and doing some good work. I'm sure they're very proud of this young man as he gets that pool together.
Yep.
Getting his infrastructure going.
I love that star decal.
Yeah, well, I think that one's really cool, especially on Terran, because the color of it doesn't change for Terran. So your Marauders all have these big stars on them, these big golden stars. Because most of the decals don't change too much.
They have it on the combat shields also, right?
Yeah. The other cool decal like that is the 20th anniversary decal, because it's like jersey numbers on all of your units, right? Every unit has number 20 on it.
I never thought of it like that. That's actually a pretty cool way of thinking of it. Oh.
That's what I do when I can't win tournaments.
You just
when I play StarCraft, I'm like, well, you know what? If I use the teal skin with those numbers, it's like I'm wearing a throwback Jets jersey. There you go. That's all I want.
There you go, man.
Almost.
Okay.
Lose just about as much as them, too. Stargate on the way for puCK. Nothing surprising here.
Nothing super crazy coming out from either side. puCK also going to get a confirmation of the drone, making the third base. Going to feel good knowing that there's not a crazy fast flood of lings or roaches or ravagers or anything coming out. You always have to be a little bit careful. Silky has a lot of different kind of, I would say, playstyles under his belt. He's definitely capable of throwing out an all-in here and there.
Yeah. So, as the Stargate comes out, I mean, it's weird. I'm trying to do analysis.
This is like the most standard thing you could possibly see in the metagame.
It's like, as much as I'd like to break this down for you guys, if you've watched any of today's broadcast, especially any of puCK's games, this is what he does. It's Stargate.
That's what every Protoss does.
That's what every Protoss does.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to do something nuts like mana double Stargate, or I feel like we haven't really seen this one as much anymore, like the charge lot all-in.
Yeah, the charge lot all-in, 7-gate, or even Adept all-ins. You don't really see them anymore.
No.
Actually, you know, the funny thing is you say Zergs have figured it out, but I still feel like the last couple of times I've seen it, Zergs are still dying to it.
Well, that's the real conundrum, Ravi, because I never see Protoss players double proxy robotics facility Terrans in tournaments, yet I have never beaten that strategy. I have no idea how to beat that strategy. You know what the beauty is?
Actually, it's similar to the 2 and 3 racks, where there was nothing that changed with Proxy 2 and Proxy 3 racks. The Terrans just put it away for a little bit, and they're like, okay, now is our time. And they start busting it out again. They start
wait for people to not have as much practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Start doing it again.
That's the deal, man. Oracle already killing off one of the
Oracles have good DPS, but I'm not so sure versus eggs.
Yeah,
10 armor is pretty rough. The 10 armor egg is pretty hard to crack.
Yeah. Well, it still manages to kill one of the larvae. Always nice to find little bits and pieces of kills there.
There's the Robo pumping out that warp prism, and now we have the probes still being built, the gates being added, and there's the Templar Archives.
Yep.
puCK doesn't like doing it off at the back of DTs because he likes his quick storm follow-up, which I think if you're a Protoss player and you want to hold that third base, if your opponent is not rushing you with roaches, which you can deal with a safety void ray or an immortal, then it's probably going to be lings or hydras. Get your storm together. Storm is just one of those things that is never bad to have, you know. Zerg don't have EMP. You're pretty much Gucci as long as you land whatever your feedback or storms are.
All right, well, Silky's going to go back to the Roach defense, and puCK's going to also scout out that Roach Horn as well, so this does make it a little bit harder and make the damage happen with that Archon drop, because like you said, and we're talking about it before, Archons don't exactly one-shot Roaches like they one-shot Zerglings, so that alone makes it a little bit easier to kind of get micro those.
Yep, I've never been a fan of the Ling defense for that play. What I did really like, and I would love to see something like this out of Silky, is that awareness that puCK got caught off guard by, where he was able to kill the Archon while it was morphing. Like, being aware of where that prism is. All the queens are up front, trying to deal with the prism drop.
So the Phoenixes actually might be able to pick up another Overlord kill or two. The Roach is doing a nice job with the Archon harassment.
Wow,
the Warp Prism got so low on hit points.
Living on the edge, just 2 queen volleys away.
Wait, did the Phoenix die? Oh, the Phoenix,
spore.
He was busy dealing with the Warp Prism in the
Hero spore crawler right there. Save the day for those Overlords.
Yeah. Of course, very, very micro-intensive to go for these Archon drops. So
I do love seeing this, though, where the creep isn't spread. And, oop, the drone. That drone has nightmares. It's like, well, I got blasted with a giant bolt of electricity.
Gonna try it again. And he's gonna get away with it. All right. Well, overall, pretty solid defense there from Silky. Doesn't end up really losing a whole lot. I mean, he lost a couple of Lings. Roach has already gotten the War Prism very, very low on hit points, something that the Protoss player really doesn't want to have to remake and really would prefer to just focus on that Immortal production, as we already see that Immortal production starting to get underway.
Yeah, and putting it right there into the wall again. The Immortal is coming straight out. The third base is done. So we talk about differences from this game and the last game. It's pretty much straight to the lurkers for Silky. And it begs the question, since we saw a similar setup with Jon Snow, this did not pan out so well for him, was puCK made a big attack before the lurker count got super huge. And let's not forget, without that Baneling nest, it was very, very difficult to actually kill the Zealots in that army. But we have 3 drop overlords starting up.
Yep.
So we're going to see the classic move, the drop overlord swapperoo.
Okay, a couple of Adepts make their way to the bottom left-hand side, and Silky is ready to intercept already as a Ling spotted these guys out. The Adepts should still be able to make their way further into the 3rd base, maybe get some sort of scouting information. They're going to see a couple of the Hydras also popping over here. Wonder if that's going to be enough to at least set some alarm bells off. Hey, that was a lot of units. Maybe you still got to be a little bit cautious if I decide to move out.
You need to see the overlords. You need to spot them. puCK has nothing on the left side of the map, which means that if Silky just loads him up and heads on over, he should not be hit with too much. There's the 3 overlords. Did he spot that?
No, it was just out of vision range, just barely out of vision range.
I find it curious that he's going to go for the natural, it looks like, with the drops. And that's not going to hit fast enough.
Oh, there's a Zealot here. There's a Zealot who's going to spot things out, though.
puCK needs to see this, because this is going to tell him everything that's
retreating.
about to happen.
He's retreating.
He does not want to recall his whole army. I feel like the Zerg is just recall bait. He's like, please send everything back to deal with this. But as long as he doesn't burn that recall, he can always recall back to the 3rd. He's got the Zealots already ready.
Ooh.
I was about to say he got one of them, but
and there's another Overlord that just
look at this stasis swords. He put stasis swords by that base to help cover against the bum rush, but he gets the one. Oh goodness! Drops a big storm on those morphing lurkers and cancels all of them. puCK. That's a huge pickup. All of the lurker production completely stunted. This is all buys himself a lot of time.
This is all about hitting a specific timing right when maybe Storm is finishing or about to finish, but you don't actually have that many available. You don't have that many Immortals, but now I feel like the time is already starting to pass. He's going to try and move back into the natural, but look at this. There's already a bunch of Zealots here. There's even a Stalker there. You're seeing the army getting pushed back. A base just gets killed off, not even canceled by 3 Zealots. This is just not working for Silky in the slightest.
Yeah, puCK really dealt with this drop very well, and it all comes down to that hero Zealot standing outside and just spotting it. It's being like, yep, my dudes, there's a big Overlord drop coming in. Here's the storm. Now that Observer can see where the lurkers are. It does not appear to be an Overseer or a Spore Crawler to shut it down. So if puCK wants to, he can jump on top of those lurkers, easy peasy. Just needs to make sure that he times it right and uses his storm to cover his flanks. Or he can just pull back and live to fight another day.
All right, and of course those other units inside the main base that Silky had dropped over did get cleaned up by the Photon Cannon and these Zealots. So Silky no longer has any kind of aggressive forces out on the map. He's going to try and move up the ramp. The Observer spots all this out. puCK might be able to seize a kill on a couple of these lurkers that are in the front. 1 goes down, 2 go down. A 3rd one getting pretty low.
Yeah, good pick off of that extractor from the high ground to at least a bit of the gas income, and he can actually hit the drone line from up there.
Finding a couple of the Zealots over here. This is actually nice for Silky. He can move around and maybe force puCK to pull back a little bit, but man, that one Stalker is going to be so annoying for the high ground.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. You don't really care too much about those Stalkers anyway. Let it poke away. Bring the rest of your army to the front. And if you can get the lurkers, get them. That's your big target. Be careful. The Hydralisks focusing down. They do get the Observer kill, so puCK is going to need to replace that. Maybe squeeze out an Oracle.
Silky, though, really committing to this, and he does get some of the High Templar. He loses a lot in the process. Do you think that was worth it?
Not entirely sure. I mean, keeping the Immortals alive is really big. That's your focus there. Everything else is much easier to replace just by virtue of being able to warp them in. But a lot of Roaches are being rebuilt, and since puCK's double pumping out those Immortals, I'm still feeling good. This base on the left side, though, this one might be tricky to save.
Yeah, he's going to come in from behind. At the same time, there is this fight happening over here. He's trying to snipe off some of the High Templar. He doesn't quite manage to get that.
He needs detection to save this base, too, though, unless he's just going to plan on storming the crap out of it.
There's still the Oracle somewhere out of the map.
There it is. There's a tag.
He only gets one of them.
But he sees one. I mean, if he focuses down the field one.
No, doesn't get it.
Well, that Oracle hasn't been up to too much, has it? Can he reveal again? I don't know. It's not in range. It's not in range of the Nexus, so at the very least, he's bought himself a significant portion of time. And if he were to unburrow it and try to move it, he might be able to grab it.
Yeah, looks like he doesn't quite have vision of it, so he's going to have to let it go for now, it looks like. puCK taking some damage on that Nexus, but nothing past just the shields. And he gets another cancel on that 5th base there from Silky, so puCK is once again, I feel like, just kind of outplaying Silky right now.
Yep, puCK's having a great game here. +3 attack is on the way. He's just taking bases. puCK's been expanding very weirdly in this best of 5, by the way.
Yes, it's always his 4th base that is looking weird.
He's expanding in a ring on both maps. He's not going for like, oh, I'm going to take the other close base. It's like, no, I'm going to just go in a ring because I'm going to constantly move my army in this direction. It's working out, but just felt like noticing that.
Yeah, that bottom left-hand base is typically something you'd see the bottom right-hand player taking, not the top left player. But
yeah.
All right, we're starting to see a lot of pressure being put on over here. With this many Immortals, you can just kill that hatchery and just get out of there. But he's going to leave the hatchery alive because he knows it's creating a choke point in the storms.
So many storms trying to come up and attack this army. The lurkers are going to advance forward too. But, I mean, I almost feel like he could have just tried to focus the
oh, he sees all of these units over here.
Oh,
though.
And his second big army on the right side. He's just dropping those preemptive storms. He's like, come at me, brah.
There's the
GGG. GGG.
puCK going up 2-0 in this best of 5 now.
puCK is starting to play really well. He's very, very put together in this match, looking a lot cleaner than versus Jon Snow. And I'm loving it. I'm loving what we're seeing out of puCK here. Looking so damn good.
And being pretty aggressive with his units in kind of that mid-game stage where we saw Silky was oftentimes in the earlier stage, in the mid-game stage, up until, like, you know, around the time he was doing that drop harassment. Silky was always the one being aggressive. Versus Neeb, I mean. Whereas in this series, you're starting to see puCK is always also staying a bit aggressive during that same phase of the game. So Silky never really gets to implore his big plan of, here's the drop, moving in, forcing out the recall, here comes in all the other attacks from every single other different angle. puCK is just playing really, really well to what Silky is doing.
Yeah, it's so nice to see that clean play out of puCK that we know that he's capable of doing. And Silky's strategies, I can't say too much about it, but like puCK got a couple of things that you could definitely say are like almost lucky breaks too, like being able to see that drop. That is such a crucial component of the strategy for the Zerg. And maybe Silky was worried that puCK was ready for a drop in the main. He's like, oh, maybe he has a Phoenix patrolling or a Void Ray.
Yeah.
You never know. So he's like, oh, I'm going to go around the other side. And that's the reason why he got spotted, because puCK had nothing on the left. If he had gone up the left side, he would not have seen it until it was in the main. Maybe puCK would have still dealt with it, but getting the overlords that low and having units ready underneath them makes it a lot easier to hold.
And it wasn't even like a massive reaction to getting the overlords. He just warped in, I think, like 2 stalkers and whittled away at those overlords to the point where
he split one of the drops off too.
Yes, he did. So now we end up seeing Dreamcatcher for game number 3. This is now match point. Silky has made a really fantastic run, being able to make it to the playoffs, and not only that, but then also to take out Neeb. But now he's potentially facing elimination here in the single elimination bracket that is the playoffs. So puCK, will he move on to the grand finals, or will Silky start the upset?
This would be a huge win for puCK. I think, you know, getting to see him in the finals of a tournament like this, even for our online stage, is big. It gave him a lot of momentum going into Valencia, and being an American champion would be pretty sick for puCK. You know, he is, of the players in this bracket, one of the ones that has really been around doing the grind for a very long time. Matched at this stage of the tournament, right? You think about, obviously, Scarlet.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I feel like it's Scarlet and Masa, basically.
Yeah.
Scarlet, Masa, and puCK are like the really old school players in this bracket.
I mean, Neeb's been grinding it out a while as well. Just mean getting like this far. Like Silky would be like of your newer brand, sort of. And he's still been around for a while, but as far as getting up there, and then True, at least as an in the American scene, pretty new comparatively to a guy like puCK.
Yeah, Silky's been around for a bit, but he never really got the big results. Like, puCK got to play on the big stages. He was, like I think you mentioned before the series started, he's been one of those players that has had good results versus a lot of very well-established players. And Silky was, again, he was that guy that you kind of look at and you're like, yeah, he's the okay North American Zerg. He's like one of the guys that could maybe get a little bit better, but you don't really expect him to get a lot better. Certainly, I think even a few months ago,
Silky was just one of those guys that's like high-rated North American Grandmaster, but nothing spectacular that pops out to you.
He didn't even really have like that unique of a playstyle or anything. Because he's just a generally well-rounded player, but he's showing up.
And yeah, and that's not to diminish his performance at all, because it's so sick that he's made it this far. But puCK clearly having a very good day today, and this guy's been struggling because of it. In the bottom of Dreamcatcher, he's your blue Zerg player. He's Silky.
And Silky's gonna have a hard time against this guy because when he gets the ball rolling, it does not stop. The red Protoss players end up 2-0. It is Root Gaming's puCK.
Imagine he'll be having a pretty happy, positive stream after today. Regardless, he's been doing very well. And Dreamcatcher, I mean, his probe's gonna scout out, and he's just trying to keep tabs on everything that's going on.
Yeah, he's been going for these pylon scouts quite a bit in this series, so I think just playing it a little bit safe and saying, yeah, you know, I don't want any shenanigans to happen.
Yep. Interested to see which strategy Silky goes for. Is he going to change it up again? Will we see the Lings with the melee? It was cool, it was cute, I liked it, but puCK got away with some economy. Maybe if Silky's more aware doing a strategy like that and doesn't get caught off guard, he can succeed. But puCK, well, I'm imagining we're probably going to see Stargate, Robo, Twilight, War Prism, Templar Archive. Don't mean to yawn, but it's just kind of the bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really want to talk about what do you want to see from Silky, because in these games we've seen that puCK likes to get really aggressive with a very fast Psy Storm. He likes to add on a lot of those gateways and move in with a handful of those Archons, a lot of those Immortals, and really put the pressure on right before Silky wants to normally do that kind of big Overlord drop. So do you want to see still attempting that Overlord drop? Do you want to see a bit of a mix-up? Do you want to see...
I like the Overlord drop. I think it's a good thing to have in the mid-game. I also liked his Ling play throughout the...
first game.
The first game, yes. So if he can keep the Ling play up, like it goes back to what I was talking about earlier with like Jon Snow found a little bit of foothold against puCK with his Lings being out on the map looking for the Prism, waiting for him to warp in those Templar and get the Archons. And my mind goes back to that game where he was able to kill one of them while they were morphing together. And at the very least, being able to put on that little bit of pressure just that much earlier is nice.
That's very true. Okay, Probe finding these Lings, or the Lings finding the Probe, I should say, as he tries to move around, get a confirmation on that third base. Doesn't actually quite manage to get it. The Adept should be able to find that, though, as it's going to have absolutely no trouble scouting that out if he wants to. He might just go straight over to the natural, though, and kind of say it's a given. Just scout some of the saturation there can also be a little bit telling. And wow.
Yep. The Adept's going to come in. Maybe try to grab a drone. Nope, decides not to. Instead throws the Shade into the main, wants to scout, and then cancels it. He's like, okay. I see the third base again. There we go. Oracle is coming in. So, yeah, I mean, we all know what puCK's going to do. Let's just see what the Oracle can get done. Silky, I mean, it behooves you to get spores versus puCK, or have your two queens available to focus down the Oracle when it comes in.
That was one thing also that Silky was doing versus Neeb that was a little bit different. I don't think we've really seen him do it that much this game or in this series, where he likes to get up those spores versus the Oracle, but then he'll move the spores from the natural over to the main base and kind of cut off the areas where Sporecrawler might move in, and also just make it a lot harder for the Warp Prism to like warp in some Zealots and just kind of pull them out of position.
Yeah, once that Oracle phase of the game is over, it's definitely a cool way to utilize your early resources, since you're unlikely to see Dark Templar or something like that thrown at you unless the game gets really nuts. The puCK comes in, grabs a drone, and backs out.
Yeah, not terrible. Takes a good bit of damage on that Oracle, so it's not 100% ideal, but really not the end of the world. The Phoenix follow-up is also going to allow him to move across the map, pick off some of those Overlords. Once again, skipping the Overlord that's actually in his main base. Of course, again, he's not really hiding a whole lot. He's been going for the same thing in all these games. So I don't think that Silky is going to be exactly all that like happy that, oh man, the Overlord that's going to scout things out didn't get found. I can get the secret scout off. No, it's all par for the course, and Silky knows it.
Yep, everything very, very standard schmander. So Silky's getting that +1 melee again, though. And
okay.
I like that. I'm a fan. Temple Archives is halfway done. The Warp Prism is out, making its way across the map.
Yep, and there, of course, are those 4 gateways all finishing up. He just needs to warp these into warp gates. The Warp Prism, is it going to be spotted by this cheeky little Ling over here? Because if he does spot it out, we saw what Jon Snow can do with it. Ooh, Warp Prism just goes after the Ling. He's just going to warp in, Yep, the High Templar.
He warped it onto the Ling.
Yeah, the Ling just retreats.
Maximum disrespect, and now he's like, you know what? Maybe he's gonna send more Lings. I'll morph the Archons over here so I can cover them.
And there are some Lings heading up over to the third, but he's just gonna leave him by the third. He's even got the Spine Crawler. The Spine Crawler is a huge help here because it deals out a good amount of damage, hits very quickly with a ranged attack, and the Archons can't really dodge out of the shot very well.
Yep. So the Lings, of course, the Archons can do some work again. Good juggling act happening. But 4 Queens up front are going to always be a pain to deal with. The Warp Prism still got most of his shields. Oh, I like this. The Spore not in the natural, and the Oracle able to focus down. Unfortunately, gets distracted by the Queen, but gets a few drones there.
Yeah, is able to get some damage down, but the Oracle and the Phoenix are both going to end up maybe falling. Queen, no, Queens are not quite in position to intercept that. And the Warp Prism still stays alive with both of the Archons. So little bits and pieces of damage done there by puCK. Although I feel like I would like it more if you had kept the Oracle alive and didn't go too ham with that. But I guess I can live with it. I don't know. I feel like the Oracle just provides so much utility. You really want an Oracle in the mid game.
Yeah, this is a... That Oracle ends up being so useful against the Lurkers later on, too, which we've seen. The Observers are just so fragile and frail, so easy to pick off.
I mean, even just you talk about the Overlord drops. Oracle is awesome if you're constantly keeping tabs on your opponent's army. You'll notice a lot of the things, like the Oracle or the Overlord drops, a lot of the time, if you're able to consistently keep active with that Oracle.
He's getting the Baneling Nest again, too. Hydralisk range upgrade coming in. But you're right, yeah, if he tries to load up any of those scanned units into an Overlord, then he'll be able to very easily keep track of that army. This Overlord comes in, he doesn't, I mean,
he sees all the
weird because it's like, what are you looking for, right? He's not rushing up to carriers. puCK is playing so conservatively. And I mean, if puCK wanted to be gutsy, then yeah, he could just drop 2 more Stargates and a Fleet Beacon and be like, yeah, I'll try to cut corners and get to carriers even faster. But there's no need to do that. His bread and butter has been working very well so far in this match.
Okay, a couple of depths that were on the north side. You got some Zealots on the south side, just continuing to put little bits of pressure and also getting some scouting information. That's something puCK has been very good about. Just keeping a handful of these Zealots scattered around the map to see when Silky is moving around from different angles, especially on a map like Dreamcatcher. That is so important to do. This map is the map where you kind of can get caught out of position if you are not paying attention.
Yep, puCK once again is going to expand around the left side of the map before going that northeast base as the Zealot cleans up those Lings and his Force moves out. Sends a few more of those Zerglings. +2 melee is about to finish up, though. Yeah. And this makes me nervous. puCK's +1 attack is actually extremely late. His Zealots are not going to have a good time against these Lings.
Oh, they're really going to struggle. And even just having +1 weapons means that you can at least 3 or 2-shot the Lings. But now it's going to take 3 attacks from these Zealots to take out those Lings. But here we go. Storms are going to make up for that as a lot of the Lings die. The Banelings managed to survive, but without the Lings or the Hydras, there's not a whole lot to actually help deal with the rest of the army.
Pretty stellar Storms. None of them really connect. Or, excuse me, none of the Banelings really connect that army. The Zealots managed to scurry their way into the natural expansion of Silky. Meanwhile, he's got that 4th base wrapping up. Photon cannons going down. +1 attack continues to move further forward. And puCK is starting to tighten the noose of this game around Silky's neck. Can he break free? The Zerglings are going to come out with those Hydras. A Storm is going to land. He's going to take the fight to the Queens, use the Storms to push the Hydras back while he cleans up the rest of Silky's supporting defenses over here. Gets real close and personal. Another stellar Storm landing on everything, and the Banelings come through. They do not connect with the High Templar. The Storms are still safe and sound.
The immortal buffering for those High Templar, keeping them all alive. If those Banelings had gotten even just a slight inch closer, he gets all of the High Templar there. There's only these reinforcing High Templars, and maybe Silky has a good chance of cleaning this up. But now this is so difficult. He's going to go for another massive round of Banelings, but I don't think that puCK's going to give him the time. This base is already under a ton of fire.
Yeah, I mean, those Banelings can still get a lot of work done. puCK needs to land those Storms, and if he does, he should be able to walk away with a W here. But there we go. There's the connection that Silky's looking for. Gets rid of all of the High Templar except one, which has, by the way, no energy on it. And it looked like there was another attack at that northeast base.
There's a Zealot over by the top right-hand base. Going to the natural.
The Bane train says, goodbye, Zealots.
Oh, except for that one Zealot that survives, but these High Templars, the Immortals, getting on top of the 4th base as Silky runs to try and defend against the Zealot run by. Down goes the hatchery eventually. Oh my god, please kill this puCK. puCK, it's one little blow of wind away. Oh my god, it's gonna survive.
Nope. Wow.
That was one attack from an Immortal away from dying.
He could have killed it. But I mean, I guess he's very stressed. Obviously, there's a lot of other stuff going on during this fight.
Oh, he's backing up. Okay.
puCK is battering and beating away at Silky, who has less and less and less in each of these fights. Another Zealot's going to swoop in. 16 drones have died. And, well,
still growing. And this poor Hydra is just attacking the Extractor.
He's attacking his own Extractor. He's confused.
No, he's attacking.
No! Okay, there he goes. He's attacking the Zealot.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to focus on getting this big wrap around and trying to maybe get some scouting information. He is going to confirm the 4th base with a Ling, but these storms are just obliterating.
He gets the Templar again, which is, still a little bit careless from puCK, but that army supply, look at the supply.
It's looking pretty good right now for puCK. I'm a big fan of the 64, but now we move forward with the Archons, the Zealots, the Immortal. That's up to 26 kills. 26 kill Immortal, still raking up a few more. And of course, now we see the hatchery go down and Silky's economy.
GG.
The game is gonna go to puCK.
With the 3-0, advances on to the grand finals of the WCS Challenger.
Very well done.
Too shabby.
And looking like he just had a firm control on most of those games for almost the entirety of it. Just looking really, really strong in that PvZ, which bodes well for him because there is a very good chance he's going to be facing a Zerg, considering the other 2 players on the other side of the bracket are both Zerg players.
Yep, another PvZ coming up for puCK. It's going to be either Scarlet or True. Trying to be dramatic, just a little bit.
I can dig it. But again, guys, if you have missed any of this series so far, they've all been pretty awesome and interesting in their own way. But that next match, that second semifinals match, is going to be Scarlet versus True. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with that series.